Greetings and salutations. Seahawks Palaver back with a kind of a post-draft wrap-up, I guess. I thought we'd go over what our roster is looking now now that the draft is complete. We have some free agents that we can talk about, of the undrafted post-draft variety that we can just kind of talk about and see if anyone may have a chance to stick, who kind of sticks out. And then we can take a look at how our roster looks now. I put in light blue all of our draft picks. Cameron Young, I put right in at nose tackle. He is 304 pounds, which, you don't necessarily think of that as nose tackle weight, but, excuse me. But Al Woods, who, our favorite lineman, nose tackle, who just signed with the Jets and is not coming back, unfortunately, he came in, when he was drafted in 2011, he was 309, and he's 330, 335 now. So, Cameron Young is not done growing, and Pete and John are adamant that he has the natural strength to handle the position. So I'm not going to argue. That's fine. Stick him at nose, see what happens. The Mike Morris pick I thought was interesting too, because all through the draft I thought he was 275. But apparently at the combine, they spoke to Mike Morris like, hey, look, I know what you're trying to do here at 275, but you're not this player. You are bigger. And it went against everything that he had done his last year at Michigan when he went to a nutritionist and said, hey, look, I need to be big so that I can be more versatile up and down the line. He wanted to take control of the line and be the most important person on that line. A big ask with, Mozzie Smith there anchoring the middle. But he wanted to be big, strong, dynamic, and versatile so that he can help his team contribute in any way possible, which is super admirable. He lost weight and went down to 275 for the combine. Maybe he was either trying to test better or say, hey, I can also be a 4-3 edge. I don't know what his rationale was, but Pete and John spoke to him. They said, you are a big dude. Be a big dude. Go back to what you're doing. And I guess on draft day, he sent them a picture of him standing on the scale, and the scale saying 295. So that was even 5 pounds more than his playing weight. And there's a clip of him on the phone with Clint Hurt saying, and keep eating, just don't shy away from the carbs. So I guess they want him to bulk up even more. I don't know. I think that he played really well at Michigan. Not very dynamic. He's just a lunch pail, maul the person in front of you type player without a whole lot of dynamism to his game, but he got the job done. And if he can translate that to the NFL, then that would be fantastic. So we have the two new defensive linemen in Cameron Young and Mike Morris, and I have high hopes for both of them. Over on the offensive line, I'm just going to jump around a little bit with whatever catches my fancy. Olusegun Oluwatimi and Anthony Bradford, both of them were our fifth round picks that really solidified our trenches, or at least solidified the depth in our trenches. I didn't think Oluwatimi was going to last until the fifth round, so I was actually very excited to get him there. I thought that was excellent value. I know that we had worked out a lot of the top centers. Steve Hutchinson went and worked out John Michael Schmitz and Joe Tippmann. But ultimately, we eschewed those positions and went with Oluwatimi in the fifth round, and I think that's great. He's an award-winning lineman. People say that he's not scheme versatile. He can only play center. He doesn't have the maneuverability or the agility to play guard, and if he can't pull, then he's not going to be playing guard in our offense. But watching him play, he gets to the second level really well, so he can move forward at least. So I guess I'll take it, right? I think that people saying that he can't move is a little bit overblown, but I guess we'll see what happens once he hits the playing field. As for Anthony Bradford, I didn't agree with this pick. I mean, I get it, but I was a big Chandler Zavala fan, and if you listen to a lot of defensive linemen who played in that conference, they said, hey, who was it really tough to beat? Who did you have the hardest time playing against? A lot of them mentioned Chandler Zavala by name, and that is a pretty amazing thing when so many defensive linemen are saying Chandler Zavala is probably the best in this conference. But that's not LSU, and it's not the SEC, so I think there maybe have been some big school bias for Anthony Bradford, but You can't argue with it, how he played. It's fine. I'm not gonna get all bent out of shape about it. But I think that they are more comfortable in the earlier rounds. But I guess fifth round is not that early. But I know they like the big school players. They don't really like to take risks on the small school guys until later. Usually, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. I wanted Chandler Zavala. They took Anthony Bradford. I guess we'll see who in a couple years. What was the better pick? Doesn't really matter. I think Bradford's just gonna be just fine. Running back. People didn't want, a lot of people didn't, I don't want to say they didn't want, but they get apprehensive, let's say, when in the second round you take a running back. But he's the third best running back in the draft. It was at pick 52. It wasn't, it's fine. It's a fine pick. We needed him on the team. We can't just rely on Kenneth Walker and DJ Dallas. DJ Dallas is a great dude, but I would not count on him to be a number one back, not at all. You put him in there when you need a breather, and maybe he can occasionally break off an 8-yard run if you're lucky. I don't see him as a super dynamic runner. I don't see him as someone that can carry the load. Maybe he can. I could be completely wrong, but I just don't see him as that type of runner, whereas Zach Charbonnet definitely is much more dynamic, much more versatile. Can handle pass catching out of the backfield too. Same with Kenny McIntosh. I think Kenny McIntosh is basically Zach Charbonnet version 2. It's great they've got both of them. I think they both have the same kind of archetype, and it's awesome that they're both on the team. I can't be more pleased with our running back room right now. I really like it. We have the dynamic home run hitter in Kenneth Walker. We have the versatile Zach Charbonnet and Kenny McIntosh, and we have DJ Dallas, who can step in and be reliable when called upon. That's awesome. I'm super comfortable now with our running back room, whereas you can see injuries tend to eat into our depth in the past, and has been brutal to watch. So I have high hopes for our running back room this year. At wideout, we added Jackson Smith in Jigba. The number one receiver in the draft. The sky's the limit for this guy. He doesn't seem fast, but I think that he plays his part A+. I mean, he's just, for a slot receiver, he knows exactly what to do, when to do it, how fast to do it, how slow to do it, how tricky to do it. He catches the ball magnificently. I'm excited about what he can do to our offense. We haven't really had a super reliable third receiver. When Marquise Grissom was out there catching passes, it was a thrill, and he wasn't even all that great. I mean, he's just great because we weren't used to seeing someone produce in that role. So I'm pretty excited to see what our offense is going to look like with 3 really strong receivers. It's going to be awesome. We didn't add to the tight end room. I was kind of hoping we would. I was hoping we'd trade Noah Fant to give us some cap relief. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. Theoretically, we could still trade him. Maybe someone, has a rash of tight end injuries, and he suddenly becomes a commodity that is wanted across the league. But right now, we are stuck with the $7 million cap hit, and I think at some point we're going to decide: are we going to extend this guy to give us some cap relief? Because he is a good player. He was our de facto number 3 receiver last year. He had 50 receptions. Maybe not for a lot of yards, but 50 receptions isn't anything to, waggle your finger at either. So he is a decent, productive tight end. I could conceivably see us extending him if we can get a good deal. But he's going to be looking at Will Disley's contract and saying, why can't I get that? And we're like, I don't know. I don't know why we gave Will Disley that contract. I'm really sorry. I don't know. Not to shit on Uncle Will. I love our ginger ninjas that we have here, but he just doesn't stay healthy, and that's a problem. Okay, let's look down at linebacker, where we have added Derek Hall in the second round. I talked about him briefly. He has a similar game to Boye Mafe. Derek Hall and Boye Mafe, I think, play in a very similar manner, relying on strength and power. Even Uchenna Nwosu is similar in that regard. I don't think that we have... I was hoping, and again, I think Derek Hall is going to be a great pick. but someone like BJ Ojolari, who has a repertoire of moves, might be someone different uh, in our linebacking core, which might have been something nice to have. I don't see Tyreek Smith or Alton Robinson being dynamic pass rushers. I don't. I see these are all speed to power guys. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if it works, I'm not going to complain. But I think if you need to have someone else to prepare for, like a different type of rusher. I mean, Darrell Taylor is that guy. He's a pass rusher extraordinaire. He has some moves. But I would have liked to have seen someone with moves, I guess, come in on the draft. We did not get that. But we got Derek Hall, who is going to represent that linebacker room magnificently. I think he's going to be great. Not to sound overly positive, but I want to be positive at this point in the year. I mean, it's the spring. Nothing's happening. Why would I be a downer when I haven't seen anything on the field yet? So we have a lot of speed to power guys. Mike Morris on the line. Derek Hall. Draymond Jones is interesting. He has a lot of bend to his game. As for a defensive end in a 3-4, he played outside the tackle for a lot of snaps in Denver. So that's gonna be interesting to see. It's gonna be interesting to see how we use him next year. All right, well, moving on. John Radigan, Josh Onojiogu, and Vi Jones. I have them as also Rands. I think they have some things to contribute. Radigan, Jones, and Onojiogu, I think were really good pickups as undrafted free agents, and I'm excited to see how they fit in to the linebacker room next year. It's looking pretty strong. It's something that looked really weak just a few weeks ago, but even though they've only headed one player, I kind of feel like they added someone that's going to make it a bit more cohesive. We have someone who can, between Mafe, Hall, and Nwosu, they can all stop the run. Nwosu might need a little bit of work here and there, but I think Hall and Mafe are going to be really good run stoppers. Darrell Taylor is going to come off the edge in passing situations, and I have high hopes. I really do. Cornerback, Devon Witherspoon. What a gamer. I'm so excited to see him across from Tariq Woolen. I don't want to say I never thought we'd draft him. I thought, well, if the Seahawks said that they wanted to trade back if they didn't land two guys. They said there's two guys that would have stuck for. One of them was Devon Witherspoon. The other guy, I don't know who it was. Was it Will Anderson? I don't know. Will Anderson's a great guy, and I think he's a culture changer or culture solidifier in Seattle's case. But is he a super great player? And he was really productive, but was his college career like the pinnacle of his career, or is he going to get better? It's hard to say. Anthony Richardson, sky's the limit on that guy. I know they really liked him. They seem to have some symbiosis going on between them. I think that would have been a good pick for Seattle as well. But I'm happy with Devon Witherspoon. I never thought they would have taken a first-round defensive back. First-round corner. They took Earl Thomas, so I guess you can't really say defensive back. But I never thought they would have taken a corner. They've had a lot of success later on in the draft, so we will see what happens. But I think Devon Witherspoon, as long as he stays healthy, I mean, he's a bit slight to be playing with the reckless abandon that he does. So we'll see if his body can hold up. Hopefully, in an NFL weight room with the NFL nutritionists and NFL trainers, he'll be resilient, I guess is the word. But that remains to be seen, but I have high hopes. Now into our really expensive safety room between Diggs, Adams, and Julian Love. Who knows? Who's to say? We don't know when Jamal Adams is going to be back. Hopefully he'll be back for the first game. Hopefully he lasts longer than just the first game, unlike last year. We'll see what happens. I think that we haven't really seen the best of him yet. I don't think that we've had the scheme to really showcase his talents. I think moving to the 3-4 was something that we did. I don't want to say we did it because of Jamal Adams, but it's definitely a way to showcase his talents more effectively than in a 4-3 where he's going to be forced into coverage a lot, which doesn't seem to really be his strong suit. Let's just face it. I'm sure we all have nightmares of the ball hitting him right in the face mask and him not catching it. let's not have too much of that in the future, okay? Jarek Reed too. Now, this may be an inference, but when Schneider was talking about top 30 visits, I kind of picked out by context he was talking about Jarek Reed, where they had a safety come in, a defensive back, I think he said. I don't remember what he said exactly, but in my mind, the context was he was talking about Jarek Reed and how intense he was. Like, he was so intense that Schneider went, "Are you okay? Like, are you all right?" Because he was so into it. It just seems like he's so excited to get going and so excited to be part of the team. This was before he was even part of the team. And just so intense that they had to draft him. He was not the top-ranked safety at that position by any means, but I can totally see why the Seahawks liked him. He's definitely their type of player. Kind of like Devon Witherspoon, plays with that same kind of reckless abandon. Maybe not as talented, of course, but the willingness is there and the drive is there. And I really want to see what he brings to the field and see if that can translate to the NFL, right? So overall, I think I talked about everybody. Yeah, I think we're good here. I'm excited with how our roster is fleshed out. I know I wanted more than 10 draft picks, but I think we did pretty good with our undrafted free agents. I mean, I was watching the 7th round go by, and I was like, "Oh, I wanted that guy. Oh, I wanted that guy." Oh, but what are you gonna do, right? Here is our UDFA class. I have offense over here, defense over here. Holton Ahlers is such a great story. I'm sure everyone's heard it by now. He was descended from Viking royalty, right? I guess his descendant was such a formidable warrior that when he was captured, he was put to death in a pit of vipers. That's the way to go. If you're gonna go, be thrown in a pit of vipers, right? That's what I'm saying. And his teammate that we also signed, the wide receiver, C.J. Johnson, they went to high school together. They went to college together, and now they are on the Seahawks together. I hope they have an easy rapport now. But I'm sure both personally and on the field. And C.J. Johnson, the knock on him is that he's slow, but he's, and I don't want to make these comparisons because it's either hyperbolic or over the top. But just when I watch him, I see Anquan Boldin. Right? He's the same size. He's the same speed. He has the same way of running through and around, and just that deceptive speed. And when he's not deceptively running around them, he's running through them. I'm excited to see what happens with C.J. Johnson. And I was the Jake Bobo fan. I was like, man, I was gonna have a gimmick through this whole draft season where I pick 198. I was going to pick Jake Bobo every time. It was like a running joke, right? Because it was someone I liked, and it was just, I wanted to have like a little signature on my NFL draft process, mock draft process, but it was not to be because he ran a 4.9940 on his pro day. That is not something that a wide receiver runs. Things have been nuances about that have come out where some people actually timed him at 4.6, some people timed him at 4.67, some people timed him over 5. I guess the conditions on the field during UCLA's pro day were less than ideal for running a 40. So I guess I can go back to my Joe Jurevicius comparisons. If I can compare C.J. Johnson to Anquan Boldin, I think I can compare Jake Bobo to Joe Jurevicius. Again, the same size. If he's in the 4.6s, he's kind of the same speed. He has the hands. He has the moves. I'm still excited for Jake Bobo. Probably the more NFL traitsy receiver is Matt Landers. At 6'5", running a 4.3. Things are gonna turn some heads. When you're on the field. But until his senior, he played 50 games over his career in 3 different programs. Georgia, Toledo, and his last year at Arkansas. But until he got to Arkansas, this guy could not catch a cold. He had hands of stone, granite, igneous rock. I don't know what you want to call it, but the guy was not a very good receiver. He looked the part, but he did not play the part. But last year, maybe he put it all together. Maybe his senior year at Arkansas was the time when everything came together for Mr. Landers, and now he's just tapping into his potential. Possibly. Because before that, it was no good. It was brutal. It was brutal. John Hall, probably the same. The same scout that found Derek Young probably found John Hall. He kind of has a similar profile. The guy, he doesn't run fast enough to really be an NFL receiver, as they say. But that's been a common theme in this undrafted draft class here. There's something wrong with them where they weren't drafted. John Hall, he tries really hard, right? He's a try hard, and I think that his transferring his Northwood game to the NFL is going to be a challenge. But I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it. Tyjon Lindsey, small, one of those darting slot receivers, but wasn't very productive. So we'll see. It remains to be seen. Marcus Cooper and Chris Smith, the running backs. Marcus Cooper's highlights are amazing, but it's from Incarnate Word. So, I didn't even know that place existed until now. But he definitely looks, if you look at him, he looks the part for sure. Noah Grindorf is someone that I liked. He's very traitsy. He probably should have been drafted, so I'm excited to see how he performs in the field. Griffin Herbert Aber. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's Louisiana, so it's probably Aber, but I haven't really seen him play. I saw some highlights. I'm gonna reserve judgment until later. Kendall Randolph, a guard. He's got to pack on some pounds. He's a little light. He's under 300, but he's from a big program. He definitely has paid his dues, and he's earned a place on, a practice squad on the field now to try to earn his place on practice squad. And Chris Stoll, long snapper, he almost wins a spot by default because we don't have a long snapper. So we shall see how he performs in the preseason. Over on the defensive side, MJ Anderson at edge and Jordan Ferguson at edge. I didn't really see a lot from them. I have to see them against NFL. Against NFL sized offensive linemen. They did not have great competition. I mean, MJ Anderson did a little bit, and he probably could have been drafted at the end of the 7th. But it just remains to be seen how they're going to hold up. I don't have a whole lot of hopes, but they do look the part. They really do. They're sized adequately. Unlike Jonah Tavai, who was super productive at defensive tackle at San Diego State. Well, really defensive end, in a 3-4. But 29-inch arms. I'm banking on Kalijah Cansey making it with 29-inch arms. There's just not a very good history of players with that arm length succeeding at this position. But he was super productive, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He was someone that I really liked. I really liked his play. I did, but the 29-inch arms just made it seem like he wasn't really, I never took him in the 7th round. I never took a flyer on him, even when I had, done a mock draft with several picks. I just never took him because I never thought he would succeed. But I did like him, but I just didn't think he's going to succeed. So now I can like him, and I don't think he's going to succeed. But I'm I'm excited to see what happens, right? Let's call it like it is. And Robert Cooper, I think he could win a spot too, just because he's 330 pounds, and we don't really have anyone to back up Cameron Young and nose tackle. If he can just stand there and anchor, that's all we need from him. It's really all we need. Just stand there, be an immovable object, and hold the line, and I will be a happy camper. When I watch the games, they keep saying Ifan. But it's spelled Ifani, so I want to say Ifani, but everyone keeps saying Ifan, so I don't know what to tell you. But he's kind of a Miles Adams type, shifty, try hard, not super physically talented or gifted, but he's going to give it his all. Cam Bright at Washington, he was a transfer from Pittsburgh. Not Penn State, but Pittsburgh. Bit undersized. Remains to be seen. I don't really have a whole lot to say about him. But Michael Ayers, who I have been twice. I guess I really was thinking about this guy a lot. Tested superbly on his pro day. He would have been in the top 5 in a lot of positions as far as linebackers go, had he been at the combine. And Patrick O'Connell, similar. He has great size. Devastated University of Washington when Montana beat UW a couple years ago. We had 3 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. He can play against the big boys, so cross our fingers that he's going to make some noise with the linebackers, because I think that we have room for one. Either Michael Ayers, Patrick O'Connell, Lamont Bishop. I don't really think that he just hasn't produced much on the big stage. Cam Bright, we shall see. His homegrown product. Well, not really homegrown, but for a year he was a homegrown product, so there'll be people rooting for him, I'm sure. Lance Boykin, definitely a draftable cornerback. I'm surprised that he wasn't drafted, to be honest. So interesting to see how he's going to fit in our cornerback room. He definitely has the swagger. He has the attitude. He has the smarts. People say that he doesn't really have the makeup speed, but in our system, we try not to be in that situation. So we shall see if he thrives in Clint Hurt's defensive system. James Campbell, another guy from Montana State. I couldn't really find a whole lot of highlights in this guy, so I don't really know what to tell you about him. We shall see, I guess. Arquan Bush, another fantastic tester. Had he been at the combine, he would have tested really well in the cornerback room. Same thing with Ty Okada. This guy was top 2, and I think 4 important testing stats, and then was top 5 and top 10 in 2 others. This guy is an athletic freak, and we shall see if he can translate that to the safety room. Because, again, Julian Love, we have 3 good safeties. Joey Blunt, I don't really count him. I was disappointed every time he was on the field last year. So I'm hoping that someone can come in, if not Jarek Reed or Jarek Reed and Ty Okada. I hope they both show something really strong come preseason, because I think between Jarek Reed's intensity and Ty Okada's physicality and testing traits, hopefully they'll be able to put something together and we'll have a really solid tandem of safeties. And Jonathan Sutherland was a tweener, a small linebacker, or a big safety. Been really not that big of a safety. He's just a really small linebacker. We'll see. It's Penn State. Maybe he'll have something to contribute, or maybe he'll just be a camp body. So let me know what you guys think. I'm pretty excited. I think we have a great group of people here. I'm really excited for these group of wide receivers between CJ Johnson and Matt Landers and Jake Bobo, and then maybe a surprise from these two. Who knows? Holton Ahlers. Read everything you can about this guy. It's fascinating. Not just his lineage, but him growing up, him taking his focus off baseball, where he was very prolific and could have had a strong future. He'd rather play football, and he taught himself a lot of stuff, right? He said where other top quarterbacks might have had, personal trainers and quarterback coaches, he would watch YouTube and put clips together and make his own routines to try to make himself better. That kind of autodidact thing is, I find fascinating. So hopefully he'll be able to have some fun out there on the practice field too. Everything else, it's just gravy, man. It's just gravy. Seahawk gravy. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Throw me a like, a comment, subscribe. I appreciate it. All right, you guys take care. Bye.